Well, we were just talking about Paul Millsap, and I asked, is it inevitable? And what do you know? They were listening to us, apparently, because according to reports, looks like 3 years, $90 million for him to join Jokic and Jamal Murray and an exciting young group, Gary Harris and others with the Nuggets. We'll have our analysis on this and breakdown, but let's go right to our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge. So, DA, we were talking about the final dance partner. Where are we now, and what got this done for Paul Millsap in Denver?
Well, look, we talked about this for the last couple of days. Phoenix and Minnesota were in there at the start of free agency. They both quickly went in other directions. That really didn't leave anybody else as a viable dance partner for the money that Paul Millsap wanted and frankly has earned over the last several years as being one of the premier forwards in the league. So this was an easy, I shouldn't say easy, this was a natural fit with the Nuggets, as we've said. He just will be perfect playing off of Jokic up front. He faces the basket. You can post him. He passes. He defends. He stretches the floor. This just creates all kinds of opportunities and room for their ball handlers and their guards. It's just, they're going to be a much, much improved team with Paul Millsap on their squad next year. And this was a team that barely missed out on the playoffs last year. So in the West, it is going to be an absolute, dogfight from minute one. Really 1 through almost 12 in the Western Conference. I mean, there's not going to be a night off anywhere in the West with all the moves that have been made already.
DA, are you surprised that Millsap only gets 3 years? And then if I can kind of add to that, if he's only getting 3 years, are you surprised that Atlanta doesn't give at least more than that, give 100, 110? It seems like a deal they could have afforded, right?
Well, they could have afforded it, but they said very frankly and openly that they weren't going to give him the max. And really, if you're Paul Millsap, the only reason you'd stay in Atlanta is to get the max. I mean, that is not a championship caliber contending team. Not to say that Denver is, but Denver's going to pay you more. $30 million a year is more than Atlanta is going to feel comfortable paying you. So there really wasn't. There's no reason for Atlanta to do it. I think they're in rebuild mode. It's clear that they have a new GM now, and they want to go in a new direction and build a team around Dennis Schroeder, and that's okay. That's a plan. From their standpoint, I don't think it's not throwing good money after bad, but it's not going to get you anywhere by throwing a lot of money at Paul Millsap.
DA, appreciate it. Hang tight by the phone. The next name I mentioned to you, they'll sign within 30 seconds, so hang tight. Stu, let me ask you kind of same question. We knew Kyle Lowry, the 3-year deal made sense, right? Because they didn't want to give him at his age a 5-year deal, and Kyle Lowry wanted the annual value to be higher. That was a match. Are you surprised that with the player Millsap is, at his age, he doesn't get more than 3 years?
A bit I am. But at the same time, the trend has really been during this free agent season. The teams are making the statement that they don't want to sign guys to longer-term deals when they don't have to. At $30 million a year, I think it's an appropriate number for Millsap, albeit that the years aren't as long. But listen, I mean, for Millsap, you take the money because you're going to a team that you seemingly think you have a great fit for. Right now, if you look at the Denver Nuggets, you have to pencil them in as a playoff team versus last year missing it by a game. I'm just excited about this signing, and I don't get excited about a lot of free agent signings. And I'm just excited about the Nuggets, as I'm sure their fans are. I mean, just given what they've done here over the last month with trading for, Trey Lyles and, getting Tyler Lyon in the draft, Monte Morris, and now Millsap to go with their existing group of good young players. I mean, you got to understand, this is a very exciting signing. And Millsap has to be excited.
Yeah.
He gets to go in. It's a perfect fit from a playing standpoint because he stretches the floor. He can play with one of the best big men in the league, and this is a good deal all the way around.
I love it. I'm with Stu. I'm excited. I mean, I thought Denver so far has had the best offseason. When we just talked about it when they added Millsap. And my reason is you have guys that can pass the basketball, high basketball IQ. I think Coach Malone has done a fantastic job. And then the young guys, the potential of Murray, Harris, Beasley. You have some guys that know how to play. And then the draft picks, they're not high draft picks, but they're draft picks that can play. Monte Morris could start. I mean, this is a kid that really knows how to run a show. He can win. He's a winner. And Tyler Lydon is one of those guys that can play the stretch four. He can play a little bit of five, knows how to play. This is a high basketball IQ team that could defend, shoot, and pass, and unselfish.
As we go to our capologist, Eric Pincus, also, they've got some options, right? They've got different things. Where are we with Gallo possibilities? And how about, look, some of the contracts that they can move off of their roster?
Well, that's the key. If they want to keep Gallinari at this point, they got to move. They got to move someone, right? They got to open up space. They've got guys like Wilson Chandler, Will Barton, Kenneth Fareed, Darrell Arthur. I mean, there are players that might have value. Certainly Wilson Chandler, I think. They can hold on to Miles Plumlee and also get Millsap, so that doesn't hurt that. But it does get in the way of Gallinari. So they have a little bit of creativity ahead of them if they want to make that happen. And that's up to Gallinari, of course. He's got interest. I know with the Clippers, they don't have cap room, but there are teams around there happy to get a nice stretch four. But, man, this Nuggets team with Gallinari back, that's pretty special. Find a way to make a move. There are teams like, for instance, the Hawks, right? They got some money to spend now, right? You can make a deal. They've got so many youthful considerations, draft assets. The Nuggets can make some plays here, set themselves up for some, maybe not 8. Start thinking about, let's get to 7, let's get to 6. Let's see if we can get up into home court advantage territory in the playoffs.
Something I love just to that point as we close out here is teams aren't afraid. They know the Warriors. We ended the season, look, we all know what Golden State's going to be, right? But everybody ended the season like, okay, well, talk to me in 4 years. The West is not afraid. Look how many teams, Minnesota and Denver and Houston, teams are jumping in, Stu, to try and see what they can do to challenge Golden State.
Without question, it's become an arms race. There's no question in the Western Conference. And the shift, if the balance of power were starting to end up in something that had parity, given this free agent season and the draft, it has shifted completely back to the Western Conference. And that's just put more pressure on teams to act and react. I'm of the mind, though, that I don't think that you can build your team to try and match what the Golden State Warriors are. You've got to try to come up with a different angle in terms of how you play that maybe is counterintuitive to matching what the Golden State Warriors do and try to beat them a different way. But listen, with this Denver Nugget team, at least they've got a roster of guys that can pass and cut and shoot the basketball, and they're going to feature a big guy right at the heart of one of Golden State's weaknesses at the center position. Because Jokic, I do believe in the next 5 years will be a multi-all-star player potentially, and with the guys that they now have around them, I mean, who knows?
Smitty, just quickly here, as a Hawk through and through, is tough seeing what's going on right now with where they're at?
Yeah, it is, because just a few years ago, they had 60 wins, and you start saying, well, if they add a piece here and there, this team has a chance to maybe compete with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now you fast forward to now, and you look at it, no Al Horford, no Teague, no Millsap, no Corver. Those are the 4 All-Stars, and now you're looking at they're in rebuild mode.